anxiety, depression, marriage, and cheating. Hello, everyone. I'm not a regular Reddit user, but I am looking for a space to share my story as I have felt entirely alone throughout this ordeal of my ex-husband cheating on me with his co-worker. To give a little insight to our love story, I'll begin with how we met. 2010 to 2013, I didn't leave my house for 4 years. I was agoraphobic. I had severe anxiety and was ultimately housebound because of it. The first few years I could barely get out of bed, brush my teeth, shower, etc. Fast forward to the last year I spent as an agoraphobic. I got a friend request on FB, and it was from my ex-husband. Due to not leaving the house, I wasn't sure if I knew him or not, so I messaged him asking if I knew him. He said I didn't, but that he saw my profile on another mutual friends page, and he really liked what he saw on my profile. From the beginning, I told him my situation and said that I was only looking for friends because of it. He acknowledged, and over several months we became friends, online friends of course, and then things took a turn for the romantic side. I eventually asked him to meet me at my house. Dangerous, I know, but hell, love makes you do crazy things. And we met. Still confined to my house, he came over all the time, and again we began to develop feelings. Over a period of time, he'd ask me out and I'd decline because I couldn't leave my house and thought it was silly and crazy of him to want to date me in this situation. I told him that if he was still there once I got better, he could ask me out again. For that last year of not leaving the house, I worked my butt off to leave the house. We would walk to the mailbox together, down the road together, to the hospital together, which was less than a mile from my house and his workplace. Eventually, I began broadening my scope of place and I got better. My dad had told me at some point that if I wanted to marry this guy, I had to get better, and so I did. Fast forward, we dated, and then we got engaged. Our engagement was one of a fairy tale. Back when I couldn't leave the house, my ex would call me Rapunzel because she couldn't leave her tower. Okay, writing this out, it doesn't sound very romantic. Anywho, he proposed to me by leaving puzzle pieces of us in our regular dating spots with clues, only to lead up to the lake where we got in a canoe like in the movie Tangled and had family waiting for us on the bridge. Super romantic, and then life began. Throughout our marriage, I found myself really insecure because my ex didn't have any mental health issues like I did. So traveling at times was extremely hard for me, and I couldn't do ordinary things like most people, like driving 45 minutes to a town to hang out, and I became depressed because of it. Everyone loved my ex and saw him as this god complex, like always asking, why would you ever be with someone like her? I massively struggled throughout the marriage, and to my own fault I mentioned divorce several times throughout our marriage. I am well aware of my own demise. However, anxiety and depression got the better of me, and I'd always tell him to find someone who didn't struggle like I did because it felt like too much. He'd say no, and how he'd want to grow old with me, etc., and that none of it mattered as long as he spent his life with me. Fast forward to this October 2024. This was my first year teaching, and it was pretty stressful, so I spent many days and hours at the school, and I felt my ex really started to change. He'd drink to get drunk, and we began fighting a lot. We hardly ever fought, even when I'd bring up the D word. But we fought a lot. During this time, we became friends with this group of young kids. They are in their mid-20s, and we were in our mid-30s. We hung out every weekend, and I noticed my husband always wanted to hang out with them and never wanted alone time with me. This group are a bunch of gym people. We hung out with them religiously. October 2024, my husband invited his co-worker and her husband to our house. We had game night every weekend at our house, and apparently she wanted to join because it sounded fun. So of course we invited them over. She's abrasive and loud and just super annoying. She'd go on to tell us stories of how she got super drunk and gave her husband head and threw up on his D***CK. Stuff she talk about. Anyways, she got drunk and became loud, and her husband seemed very annoyed at her at the time being. Weeks after this hangout, I found out her husband served her divorce papers and said he didn't love her anymore. My ex-husband, being the savior that he is, would comfort her and invite her to our house, hang out at the gym with us, etc., and she did. Over time, I found instances of her to be off. One night when my ex was getting ready to leave for work, she'd called him and said the bathroom door in her app was locked on the inside and she needed him to fix it. I told him he'd be damned to go over there alone, so he invited his friend, whom he told me had a crush on her and vice versa. My ex's grandma died, and she came to the funeral. Having never met her, she brought a sympathy basket worth several $100s to the house when his grandma died, which I found off of her to spend so much money when she herself was going through a divorce. At one point, we had pics of us and family members on our fridge, and she saw it and went out to her car and grabbed a graduation invite of hers to hang on our fridge. Needless to say, I noticed these things and became very suspicious of it all. Weeks leading up to the day I found out, my ex was very distant. No X for 3 months. We hardly interacted, and I even began counseling because I knew our marriage was on the rocks. My ex and this girl confessed their love for one another with the guy friend who she supposedly likes, and he liked her. They did it so they would be held accountable because the friend wouldn't allow this to go on any further. So that night he came home and confessed to me that he had indeed fallen for this girl. I was devastated. The girls from the group comforted me and allowed me to stay with them in the meantime, and even helped collect my stuff during this period. Once I found out that they had been intimate and said they loved each other, I actually ended up in a mental facility. I spent a week there and came back. Ultimately, the friend group said they wouldn't choose between the two of us, but that they were going to accept my ex and this girl together. My life fell apart as I knew it, and even after this, they are still together. I'm just heartbroken, and I'm not sure how to feel about all of it. I can't help but think he was miserable being married to me because of my anxiety and depression, and which ultimately lead him into the arms of another woman. I can't help thinking about how happy he is that he doesn't have me holding him back, and how she can do everything I couldn't do for him. I'm miserable at the idea of their happiness, and I know that's something I shouldn't focus on, but I can't help it. In reality, I do think my ex held me back as well because he never really pushed me and just accepted me as I was, because now my anxiety is a lot better than it used to be. I got on a plane for the first time alone. I even can go to the town 45 minutes away, which is where I saw them together for the first time. I just am insecure about it all and feel miserable at the idea that someone else is giving him what I couldn't, and I hate the idea that they are happy and how everyone now loves them together. And now to the another story, story 2. My BF, 28, of 8 years cheated on me, F28, last year with his workmate. So the cheating incident started last August of 2023. It took me several months to have courage and share this here because of the trauma that I still carry up until now. So, there's this one girl who she claimed herself to be one of the boys, but turned out she is secretly having an affair with my BF. I had a huge hunch that this girl wants to ruin my relationship with my BF because whenever things got rocky between me and him, she always give him advices that will surely and definitely cause us to break up. I know it is also my BF's fault, but it takes two to tango as always, and the girl knew all along that I exists. OBTW. To give you more context on how they met each other, they are working in a restaurant in a high-end mall somewhere in Makati. So going back, by the month of September, I caught my BF deleting messages between him and the girl, but to his stupidity, he moved it to archive instead of fully deleting it. I asked my BF if what's the message, but told me it was just some sort of endorsements. I didn't believe him. So he asked the girl to send a screenshot off their convo. The convo seems flirty and already altered. Some of the threads were deleted already. During that time in September, I was already in and out of the hospital because my body couldn't take the stress anymore, and I've been literally crying every night because of what's happening. Come September 30th, I messaged the girl using my BF's account telling her that I hope they are happy with what they are doing and what's happening to me because it is already taking toll to my physical and mental health. She answered, "What did I do? As far as I know, I didn't do anything wrong, and I are not doing anything wrong. Whatever happening between the two of you isn't my fault." That's before the week my BF went out with her secretly. She agreed and even asked my BF to drive her home. October 10th. My BF asked my if we can be in a cool-off status because he told me he needed time to fix himself. I begged him to stay and promised him that I'll never get jealous again. October 14th, I was confined in the hospital, and in October 16th, he was breaking up with me. Out of desperation and love, I begged him to stay and asked him if this is because of that woman. He said that woman has nothing to do with his decision, and it's because he got tired with our setup. I talked to his mom and asked her to help me. Her mom was so kind, and she helped me getting back with her son and told me to get well first, plus she's gonna sort everything out for the meantime for me to recover. For everyone's reference, I put up with all of his sh*ts throughout the years, forgive him for all of his shortcomings, and even stayed during his lowest point. I am not a materialistic person, and I am happy with his time and the companionship. This is not the first time he cheated. I still accepted him after all because I love him that much. I even said sorry to the girl for accusing her, and she replied, "Apology accepted." Turns out all of my instincts were right. I confirmed everything around October 30th and had proofs around November 6th. My BF and I started to reconcile and fix our relationship during the month of November. I talked to the girl personally because she was accusing me of creating a dummy account that sends messages to us like, "UBF is cheating on you with?" I know because I am with them whenever they have drinking sessions. I told her that I have no access with my BF's phone for 1 month because he told me it is his privacy, which he never do, and had no idea of his whereabouts during that time. He even asked my BF through text to steal my IMEI and IP address. She accuses me like it was my fault. TBH, I never shouted at her nor caused a scene. I even asked her if where she wants us to talk, because preferably I want to talk with her away from the restaurant, so nobody can eavesdrop. Along the conversation, she keeps on insisting to talk to her workmates and ask them, but I told her, no. This issue is between the three of us. I remained calm throughout the conversation. If you are asking how I found out about their conversations, my BF forgot to bring his phone in the bathroom and has a screen time out of 5 minutes, I think. I didn't really want to touch his phone, but I think God has a way of letting me know the truth, so when he was still in the bathroom, I checked his messenger and saw all of their conversations. My hands are shaking and my voice is already trembling. I showed it to her mom, and her mom got furious. During the time of our reconciliation, I told him that I was ready to have a child with him, and yeah, we do the deed. I know it's a ST*PID act, but God, this is what love made me do. I thought, everything will be somehow okay. He started updating me without me asking for it. I am sleeping in their house twice a week. I will never forget the month of December. It was the month that shattered me the most and turned me into a person with heartless apathy. I had miscarriage because of too much stress thinking of the rumors that was spread by that woman. The girl's mom even had the audacity to post me on TikTok telling everyone that I am stalking her, where in reality, I want to message her and call her out to correct her daughter's behavior, but I never did because I know it will just backfire to my BF. I kept this miscarriage thing and cyberbullying thing from my family because I don't want them to get mad at my BF. I want him to have a clean image towards my family and relatives. There are only 2 people who knows that I had miscarriage up until now. My BF and my best friend. This year, January, the girl's mother went to the restaurant where they are working and talked to my BF. My BF brought up what happened to me and our baby, and the old lady told my BF, it wasn't bullying. I just put some sounds to it. Clearly, it was cyberbullying. My profile, name and photo was there. She never apologized. Instead, she said that my BF should take her daughter's side because her daughter was getting bullied inside her workplace after her daughter started telling false rumors, and one of their colleagues know the whole truth. It is still heavy up until now. I still dream about it every single night and still cry about it every day. As much as I want to take revenge, I want karma to hit them hard. Sorry if the whole story was a bit chaotic/messy. I am crying while typing this. And one last story, story 3. Not sure what to do next. My wife shared with me probably 15 years ago that she thought a shared female friend was cute. I didn't think much about it. Fast forward 8 years, and she told me about Skirt Club, a series of female-only *X events held in cities around the world for those who identify as bi and biserious. Admittedly, I thought it sounded hot for her to attend, but she elected not to. Close to 2 months ago, she expressed an interest to attend a Skirt Club event in Denver. I felt fine about it then. That said, I didn't know fully what she was walking into. Maybe she didn't either. It started with a wine tasting, moved to dinner, and then they went to a hotel suite in which 4 other women and her had *X for about 3 hours. Again, it sounded incredible and I was happy for her. Mind you, I was in no way thinking that she'd develop a relationship with the women as a result of the event. I simply thought it was an opportunity to try something she'd expressed an interest in over the years. Fast forward to last night, and I did something I've never done. I opened her phone and found a suspicious Signal app. You know, the one with disappearing private messages? Messages certainly not meant for me. I opened it and found a thread with a person given an alias by my wife that read simply D. Mind you, I could only read messages from the last 24 hours due to the disappearing messages, but it was clear that *Zool and emotional relationship had developed. My wife was ordering the women to make herself come and do odd things like 5 squats and telling her when to go to sleep. There were also messages in which my wife was talking about her business like you would with a friend. As background, I looked at her phone because I asked to use it yesterday, and she acted squirrely, and over the last month she's been offish with me. I felt like my heart was about to explode as I read the message thread with her asleep next to me. As background, I told her at least 5 times after the Skirt Club event that I didn't feel comfortable with her meeting with or talking to women without my knowing in the future. I have serious trust issues that were triggered after the event and made that crystal clear so she understood that. While these things work for many relationships, they don't work for me. After reading the messages, I considered letting their relationship continue and keep an eye on the developments. Maybe it would fade away, but that felt untruthful. So I woke her up and asked her if she was cheating on me. She denied it and kept asking what I knew. I finally had to reference specific texts with D, and she came clean. She told me that she'd been texting with D via Signal for over a month, and they'd had several phone calls as well. She also told me that she used Signal to cover her tracks, used the alias D to throw me off if I were to look, and the kicker, she told me that she intended to have *X with D. Real name starts with a KBTW. The next time she visited Denver in less than a month. There's been a lot of crying over the past 14 hours, me and her. I'm typing on 1 hour of sleep. She keeps apologizing, but I'm struggling to see a time when I don't feel like my trust in her has been compromised. Over hours of talking, she finally said that she was considering attending other Skirt Club events, without me knowing. She also confessed to searching for and driving to a lesbian bar while on business in Dallas, but didn't have the nerve to go in. She followed this by saying that she'd give all of that up to spend the rest of her life with me. I just don't trust her, and moreover, I want her to be who she wants to be. My wife is great for the most part, but I just don't know if I can get over this, despite how long we've been together and how much I love her. She's my best friend, which is why this hurts so much. We've built an enormous amount of trust over our 17 years, but I'm afraid she's living a false life, and she's keeping me from finding love that's fully committed. I don't know what my next move is. I live in her hometown in northern Utah, surrounded by her family. We're very much not Mormon, by the way, and I have no one to discuss this with. We share a 5-year-old who we love more than anything. I don't know if I should talk to a divorce attorney, if I should set up marriage counseling, or both. Any and all opinions are appreciated. Just please be sensitive since this is happening in real time.